It has been called the crossroads of the Pacific, a bridge between Asia, the other Pacific islands, and the Americas. Hawaii, a cosmopolitan mixture of cultural and ethnic societies from east and west. Each year, professional leaders, graduate students, research specialists, government managers, and others arrive in Honolulu to study together. They come from more than 40 countries and territories. Located in Hawaii, adjacent to the University of Hawaii campus, the East-West Center provides a climate of cultural and intellectual exchange. Established in 1960, the East-West Center's problem-oriented institutes promote cultural and technical interchange between East and West. From distant lands and quiet backgrounds, these young minds come to Honolulu and the East-West Center. Already on their way to professions in their own countries, they arrive to seek further education, cultural awareness, insights into the mutual problems which confront societies in Asia, the Pacific, and the United States.
I was working in fisheries, stock assessments on the Mekong River, and I was wanting to continue in this general line, and Hawaii and the East-West Center is just the perfect crossroads, it seemed, for East and West. And I didn't know, other than what this little bulletin said, anything about the East-West Center, but after being here a few days, I decided this was just the answer to what I was looking for.
East meets West, mutual problems are examined. Through it all, they recognize the basic East-West reality. As we near the 21st century, we are a common people, bound by divergent cultures on a solitary planet. East-West problems have become one. Urban pressures in overcrowded cities, pollution of land, sea, and air, rural and urban shortages of food and jobs. The East-West Center inquires into broad problem areas through each of its program institutes. The East-West Communication Institute seeks to reduce cultural barriers to understanding by improving communication between people, cultures, and nations. The East-West Food Institute studies the human, economic, and technical problems of food use, food distribution, and food production. The East-West Technology and Development Institute generates and shares knowledge about the technical aspects of social and economic development. The East-West Culture Learning Institute examines the similarities and differences in cultures to achieve an understanding between cultures. The East-West Population Institute explores the causes and consequences of rapidly expanding international populations. A new birth in the world every quarter second, and with each new birth come the inevitable problems of human multiplication. World population figures defy easy comprehension. More than 2 billion people now live in Asia, the Pacific, and the United States alone, the focal point of East-West Center programs. Births each year now outpace deaths. More food, yet still not enough. Better medicines and greater health care have extended lifespans dramatically throughout the United States, the Pacific, and Asia. This global situation places urgent demands on the East-West Center's Population Institute for updated information, increased knowledge, and cooperative research exchange. The East-West Population Institute explores ways to further educate people to appreciate the demanding implications of uncontrolled human multiplication. The director of the Population Institute, Dr. Lee Jae Cho from Korea, feels that the Population Institute is in a unique position to deal with international population problems.
It is a unique place where the common problem of population can be examined and analyzed by people from different countries in Asia and Pacific and the United States with different culture and tradition, and look at the problem that cut across national boundaries and cultural boundaries.
Throughout Asia and the Pacific, there is an urgent need for accurate and reliable census data. With the indispensable aid of modern computer technology, the Population Institute measures population fluctuations, international and national migration patterns, population estimates, policies, and programs. Overall, the Institute determines the causes and effects of demographic behavior.
So what goes on here is that we bring people together who are concerned about this common problem and want to know more about the facts to begin with, the causes, secondly, the effects of it, and then what can be done about it. And I think that the numbers of people who have come here from universities, from government agencies, and so on, who have worked together with us on trying to get those answers, to get this knowledge, have returned home and have been able to apply it very usefully, as we have learned from them and been able to apply it here.
Hawaii's polyethnic makeup and its multicultural environment make it a unique place. For that reason, Hawaii offers the East-West Center a perfect home. In May 1961, then Vice President Lyndon Baines Johnson broke ground for Thomas Jefferson Hall, the center's administration building. Johnson and former Hawaii Governor John A. Burns struggled to give birth to the East-West concept. Said Johnson that day, "I am not quite ready to contemplate my own epitaph, but of all the works to which I have contributed, I have greatest confidence that this East-West Center will outlive them all." 15 years later, Hawaii Governor George R. Ariyoshi signed a law incorporating the center as a public non-profit educational corporation. Incorporation of the center's administrative and academic affairs would ultimately pave the way for wider and more meaningful cross-national participation. The incorporation law created a board of governors to guide the center toward its primary goals of promoting better relations between East and West. The board's internationally minded governors recognized the wisdom of the congressional intent which first brought the center into being. The governors set out to increase East-West understanding. They worked to preserve the basic framework of research and education through which mutual problems are addressed. Food is a universal concern. The basic worldwide food system, production, transportation, delivery, and consumption, represents the target of the East-West Food Institute. As with all the center's institutes, research and the search for new knowledge are keys to the understanding of the total problem. World food problems represent an increasingly important mutual effort among nations. No country can ignore the interdependence of food production and delivery. Food markets worldwide require adequate supplies. That assurance depends upon the knowledge from many fields: agriculture, economics, management, crop protection, irrigation, and nutrition. Dr. Nicholas Likes explains the Institute's focus.
There are many other organizations working on food, agriculture, fisheries, and the like, but they are organized primarily according to disciplines and specializations, which makes it difficult for those who participate in those organizations to fully deal with the total problem. Consequently, what we can do is invite such people here, where they are not under professional pressures to behave according to their professional standards of disciplinary expertise, but can then interact with other people and look at this problem in the way the farmer, the fisherman, the consumer, or the food processor would.
The Food Institute's attempt to understand the implications of the global food system is only one of its purposes. Sharing of international perspective is another one. At this Hawaiian prawn fishery project, East-West Center professionals and scholars learn from the Hawaiians and from each other. One of the Institute's participants, Rahul Ferdinando from Sri Lanka, explains the importance of this kind of experimentation.
This is a freshwater prawn which requires certain temperature tolerances, and these are mostly provided in the tropical belt in Asia, for instance. And many Asian countries, not only in Sri Lanka, are interested and have been working in varying degrees on this particular prawn. And when all of us come together in a workshop like this, we learn from each other's experiences. Different backgrounds, different approaches, and different levels of development work has been done on the prawn. When you come together, it's kind of pooling. I learn from the others. Maybe they learn something from me.
Another Food Institute participant, Anacleto Guevara from the Philippines, spent months on the island of Hawaii experimenting with different crops to see how soil can be enriched with nitrogen. Many countries are faced with expensive or unavailable sources of nitrogen fertilizers. Guevara, with the aid of the Center and the University of Hawaii's College of Tropical Agriculture, was able to construct his own laboratory and conduct field experiments. Once completed, he will return home to develop production methods small farmers can afford. Feeding the hungry, sustaining life, elevating the opportunities for as many people as possible. Challenges which continue to face all nations, east and west, whether the problem is one of food, population, or technology and development. Any country bounding toward the 21st century, striving to elevate its economic and social prosperity, needs to rely on some kind of technological base. The East-West Technology and Development Institute spreads new ideas and information for development. Throughout the region served by the center, people need jobs. Families require lower-cost housing. Networks sharing knowledge must be established to create efficient agricultural systems. Opportunities for social welfare are vitally needed. But mutual East-West investigation on common problems remains the greater goal. The Institute strives to increase understanding of the development process, emphasizing the interactions of people, institutions, policies, and technological change. Planning for maximum employment, adapting technology to regional conditions, creating small industries, and forming public policy are the core of the Institute's activities. The results, low-income housing, brassware, textile, and metal industries to supplement rural economies, and examinations of developmental options.
We are directing our efforts primarily to the middle and upper echelon people who are involved with the policy and decision-making level, and also trainers. We feel that this way we'll have a greater impact. The multiplying effect would be greater than trying to deal with the technicians. And we feel the technicians could be trained in their own countries.
Using the center's resources, government and private representatives from throughout the Pacific Basin benefit from the mutual exchange. Regional perspectives, shared through publications of all kinds, create the means to understand mutual problems. Interaction comes through discussion and publication. To the Technology and Development Institute, international tourism represents a viable opportunity for increasing jobs and incomes in potential Pacific and Asian destination areas. The hard question, though, is what cultural price is paid for international tourism. Hawaii's Waikiki Beach, to some developing tourist economies elsewhere, represents a deterioration of cultural heritage and flavor. Many Pacific Island leaders want the money for tourism to develop economically, but shy away from the industry because of its potentially adverse impact on traditional cultures. The Technology and Development Institute addresses some of these conflicts. Economic growth through tourism versus cultural shocks. The Institute draws politicians, scholars, and researchers to grapple with such alternatives for the future. The Prime Minister of Fiji, Ratu Sir Kamisese K.T. Mara, lecturing at the East-West Center, explained the emerging Pacific concern.
there are urgent economic reasons for the development of our tourist industries. But we also want to share our country's beauties and attractions and the friendliness of our people. And we do not want to see these attractions spoiled. So I think it is up to us to avoid the type of development which attracts the worst type of tourist. By this I mean the flash world of the casino and the sleazy nightclub. Conversely, we should concentrate on the type of attraction which will appeal to the best type of tourists. By this I mean festivals, the exhibitions of arts, music and handicrafts, and healthy outdoor activities.
The center's dialogue among nations extends to highly populated urban areas and to remote rural villages. The Open Grants Division of the center invites international inquiry into more general problems: man and his environment, law and the cities, the quality of life within cities, environmental policies across national boundaries.
At East-West Center, where people get together and work on common problems, which they recognize as common problems, you have the best kind of communication that's possible. Everyone is gathered around that problem. And as they study it, most of them are thinking about it in terms of their own country and their own interest. So I have a feeling that the manner in which we approach this whole question of international relations, international communication, improvement of relations, improvement of understanding, is probably the best that I've seen worked out anywhere.
Cultural and social programs are often sponsored by the volunteer Friends of the East-West Center, bridging center participants to the local Honolulu community where homes away from home are created. But it is the Culture Learning Institute which explores cultural identity, languages and culture, cultures in contact with each other, thought and expression in culture learning. The Culture Learning Institute's primary goal is to identify and reduce the problems confronted by people operating in different cultures.
A lot of people think that people in each country are different. But, when I came here and I have learned to know the other people, I know that everyone is the same, even though, we are in different countries. Of course, there's something different, but, if we learn to know each other, we know that we are human beings and we have something the same, and so we should understand each other.
I know many personal relations such as that, people have come from varied cultures and then they have got to be such good friends in the real sense, So that, I think, is the thing that I value most about this whole experience.
The Institute's James Mack thinks the center's goals are valuable but hidden.
They're not easy to see. I think this is the most important thing that people get worried about. They're not easy to see and you don't see them quickly. But when you get out and into Asia and Pacific and meet people who have been here, you start to see these things slowly happening. Very quickly, one of the things that's happened out of the program that we're running down there is that the Cook Islands have set up a small community cultural centre in just the way that it had been, envisaged when the program started. And this is really tremendous because out of that nucleus, the thing can only keep going in the right kind of direction.
A recent center participant from Sri Lanka, Rahul Ferdinando, offers his thoughts on the value of cross-cultural contact.
I noticed the different languages people, the differences. That's the first thing you see. Then after some time you begin to see something else. How many things there are in common. I go and shop with the Filipinos and we're looking for the same things, the same bargains. It's very interesting. They might talk among themselves in the Filipino language and they might say something to me in English, but it's the same thing. They're human beings.
Hawaii itself offers cultural heritage for the benefit of serious scholars and Culture Learning Institute programs. There is much to be learned from field trips into the Hawaiian community, such as the Bishop Museum, whether to appreciate ancient religious customs or to discuss educational techniques for multicultural societies. Ancient remote cultures offer only one aspect of the Culture Learning Institute's activity. Modern contemporary cultural events, popular culture, also concern the Institute. For it is in the manifestation of cultures, ancient, remote, or contemporary, which offers insight into the entire culture. One of the Institute's research associates, Gregory Trifonovich, explains why culture learning and teaching are so vital.
By bringing people here where all of a sudden they're confronted with another culture, they begin to look introspectively into their own culture, begin to analyze the values of their own culture. And as a result, as they begin to analyze and appreciate their own culture, they can also begin to understand the other person's culture as well. So actually what we're doing, we are a catalyst in a way in here. We bring people where the most important thing is for them to learn to conceptualize on a conscious level their own basic values of their own culture. And if they can learn to do this thing, then they can learn to understand their fellow human being who comes from another culture much easier.
Human communication is the web of society. Communication ties people and cultures together. And the East-West Communication Institute studies ways to build knowledge about how communication works, how it can be used for cultural interchange, international understanding, and peace between nations. Since the Communication Institute was created, its problem orientation has included international communication for peace, trade and cultural exchange, the impact of popular culture across national boundaries through the mass entertainment media, and the communication necessary for development. Studies are underway on the impact of the mass media on international communication. Policy recommendations are developing for international networks of communication. The communication problems of the Pacific Islands and territories are surveyed. Publication of research materials is vital and constant. The Communication Institute concentrates on the use of modern technology. Advances have been made in the telecommunications area, but little has been done to plan for international systems and policies. Within the Communication Institute research framework, ample opportunity exists for the promotion of mutual international understanding. Graduate students, journalists, communication experts, and government policymakers are affiliated with the Institute and its goals. The communication between participants becomes a model for wider thought sharing. The Center's broad international representation is a valuable resource for the Institute. Many different viewpoints can be brought to bear on the role communication can play in rural development or social change.
There is something we can do to reduce the chance of misunderstanding when we communicate across cultural boundaries. And that is if we can understand through research the process of intercultural communication, the difficulties involved, and the reasons for these difficulties. Then if we can disseminate this kind of knowledge, and if we can make people aware of all these difficulties, then when people get together, that is when people from different cultures get together to communicate with each other, they would become aware of these difficulties. They would come together with a genuine desire to understand each other. They will come together with a knowledge that communication between them will not be easy. They will be prepared for the difficulties. In that case, I think the chance of understanding, the chance of effective intercultural communication will be greater. And this is what we are doing at the Communication Institute. That is, through research, to understand the processes and difficulties of intercultural communication.
Communication is the key to all understanding, and the East-West Center is in the unique position to bring cultures together to enable participants to communicate, learn, and share each other's knowledge, experience, and background.
I don't think any one group of people are going to solve the world's problems, but I think the world is in a state where it needs suggestions and inventions from all the different groups of people in the world. Sometimes they're so small that they have to band together. Sometimes the solutions have to come from regions and federations and constellations, but we need them all. And we especially need what the Pacific can give, because the Pacific is the home of diversity.
The East-West Center, I think this is the only place, as I can think in the world, that where you can really exchange your own opinion with the others. And here, this is the only place where I haven't seen any person, whether they are from Israel or somebody as a guest, or maybe from Arabs or Pakistan and India and Pakistan and Afghanistan. They talk to each other just like friends. And you can't gather all these people in one platform where they can talk to each other, they can listen to each other.
Degree students work together, live together, fail together, have these big hills to climb together, and I think we benefit from it so much more because we get this deeper feeling. We have to struggle, and we all do it.
The East-West Center has become a repository of research information. Alumni now serve their countries in a multitude of professions. The center has become the recipient and generator of knowledge about population, food systems, technology and development, culture learning, and communication. The men and women from homes in Asia, the Pacific, and the United States have come in search of new knowledge and the benefits of cross-cultural awareness. The East-West Center, dedicated to cooperative research on common problems and East-West understanding. The effort will continue, and the search for international understanding remains the greatest of our challenges.